Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will continue the light novel of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Volume 13, Chapter 1, Shake and Consciousness, Part 1. If you haven't watched previous video or chapter, you can find the link in the description below. This video contains spoiler ahead anime and manga series. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel, and click on the bell, so you won't miss my latest video. Without further ado, let's get started. A month has passed since the gathered executives had met. Today, I was also in the control room monitoring the movements of the Empire. Since this was the staging ground for all of our intelligence, Benimaru and I could practically say we moved in here. We really only left to our homes at night. If left unattended, this would likely turn into a secret base for Veldora and Ramiris. It was a place I had been building for a long time, and had put to good use. Benimaru also cleaned up after himself, so I think he had all but actually returned to his room. I don't even need to worry about such things, but with the battle coming up, it would be bad if the great general fell. The control room was usually manned by staff. When we were at war, we would work round-the-clock shifts, taking 3 shifts. This was to prevent everyone from sticking their heads up too hard. It is important to manage your own health, and this was the only thing that needed to be thoroughly implemented. Still, the one person I didn't even need to worry about with that kind of thing was our ally, Veldora-kun. And then there was Ramiris. Those two would rest and relax without me needing to say anything. Rather, it should be said that they would also go AWOL. At first they were excited that the war was about to start, but when it turned out that there was no movement after a month, they looked as if they were completely tired of everything. By now they had returned to their research and were saying capricious things, telling us to just wait for something to happen before notifying them. It's just as well. If they were here they would only cause trouble, so I decided to just go along with them. So that's the situation. The only group of people here at the moment were me, Benimaru, and Sui. Then, there were my secretaries, Cheyenne and Diablo. I also can't forget Geld, who was there too. However, it kept some other projects at a standstill, which made me sad. I'd really like to get the war over with before Miss Fry gets mad. But in the end, it's up to the opponent to make the first move. In this war, the side that attacks first takes the reins. If the other side doesn't fight, even if they want to fight with the other side, they can't fight. It was originally thought that the Imperial Magic Tank Force would attack in almost 20 days or so, but the invasion turned out to be slower than expected. It should be said that they were deliberately slowing down and making a deliberate show of their majesty when they entered. I was always watching them with my own Argos, but some of them haven't even seen a magic tank, so they looked like evil demons. Monsters would also fear those huge and vicious opponents. Even the sub-A level monsters that lived in the forest fled from their marching range because they were afraid of the Imperial Army. As for where the Imperial Army was currently, they had just crossed the border. Forced entry into our borders, a matter that was totally incompatible with international law as laid down by the Western Council, but the enemy empire did not take rules seriously. Nowadays, the most important thing was how to apply them and make them strategically valuable. We could actually use this as a reason for us to launch a surprise attack, but I still felt that we should at least consult with each other. It also seemed likely that the Imperial side would persuade us to surrender and hold off on attacking for the time being until that moment comes. I think the other side is naive, but we're not ready for that either. It should be a showdown afterwards anyway, so there's no need for us to sneak around. In this way, Benimaru also expressed his approval with a leisurely attitude. I was relieved that preparations for war against the Empire could indeed be made. Immediately following, the days that we had been waiting were finally coming to an end. The Imperial side had stopped and started to lay out their formations. The Imperial Army was not stupid either. It seems that they had no intention of fighting us squarely from the beginning. Other than the magic tank units, the other infantry squads were marching towards the forest one after another. The total number was about 70% of the entire strength of the Empire, up to 700,000. Although we already knew this, I would review once more. Looks like this is their main force. Should be. While using the magic tank force as a front, the real purpose is actually to suppress the Dwarven Legion. So it seems. Is it to avoid being pinned from behind in an attack on our country? It is clear that such a large army is well prepared, but they are still very careful in their actions. The reason why the magic tank forces seemed to be moving so slowly was really not just to demonstrate their majesty. There was another, more important purpose, and until their main forces, the infantry, was assembled, they seemed to want to attract our attention by using the magic tank force. It's just that the other side's attempts have already reached us. With intelligence, we can accumulate so many advantages. While saying that, Benimaru smiled wryly. Kufufyufu. It's true, Lord Rimuru. Everything is under your control, that's how it is. Diablo came over to us and was about to do that whole Lord Rimuru is the best thing. I'd gotten used to it, so I just nodded and said, I guess. With the right know-hows, it's actually easy to deal with Diablo. As for that group of Imperial infantries, we seem to underestimate each other's threatening nature a bit. It seems that all of them are quite skilled, and none of them could keep up with the others and went to gather at a place 30 kilometers away from the capital, Rimuru. They camped there, and set up command posts. Sui said this in order to get more attention and to explain the current situation to us. Plus, there was Moss to bring us information with impeccable accuracy. I also used my Argos for reinforcement, and even the enemy's strength was visible. It's unnatural, isn't it, that we don't react when we're all close to each other's throats? No, not necessarily. Those guys believe that they are better than us and believe that their actions have gone completely unnoticed by us. They've underestimated us and must be preparing to act immediately after persuading us to surrender. Kufufyufu. I think so too. I would like to add to Mr. Benimaru's comment that this 30 kilometers is a wonderful distance. If it is monitored by magic, the farther away the accuracy decreases. Combined with the magic used to unleash interference through Legion magic, that area would be completely turned into a safe zone. The other side should believe that they can do that. But the funny thing is, I think that's all those guys can do. It seems my worries are just unfounded. There must be some kind of trap behind this lack of action on our part. That was what the Imperial Army thought while pushing in this direction, but now, the enemy still thinks we must not be able to see through them. In that case, all that was left to worry about was how strong the enemy's army actually was. By the way, Sui, how strong are the enemy soldiers? Sui deliberately emphasized that the other party was extremely threatening. That should mean only the strong ones. Depending on his answer, it might be necessary to revisit the operational plan. From an average evaluation, any grade that translates into human terms is equivalent to a B grade. There is no shortage of people in the upper echelons who are above A, and those in the lower echelons who are not below C+. Even when compared to the knights of the Western countries, they seem to be very good. The opponent's fighting power was beyond imagination. In this world, however, it's more about quality than quantity when it comes to combat, and a B grade is pretty good, but sometimes an A grade person alone can be more dangerous. While this is true, but the power of the group as a whole still cannot be underestimated. That's all for today. Hope you enjoy the video. For the next upload, we will continue with Chapter 1, Shake and Consciousness, Part 2. See you in my next video.